What is going on, everybody? Super Yankee for Life here once again, back with my week 2 picks for the 2019 season. I was going to do these picks on Wednesday or Thursday before the Thursday night game between Carolina and Tampa Bay, but I felt like that game was not quite as important enough to talk about in my picks. And thankfully, the game was not good enough for me to feel bad about. So we're just going to go on ahead and do the picks for tomorrow's games and the Monday Night Football game, starting with Dallas and Washington. I think the biggest takeaway from Week 1 amongst all the action was how really well run the um, the offense was for the Dallas Cowboys, and I thought Kellen Moore did a pretty good job. I was really impressed with what I saw from him. I understand it's only 1 week, and it can easily fall off a cliff, and he can be just like Scott Linehan in a few weeks' time. But so far, I was really impressed. The only thing I would have liked to see more last week from the Dallas offense was trying to get Zeke more involved. I think that was more to do with them trying to ease him back into the offense because he wasn't part of training camp, obviously with the holdout situation. But that's just a small gripe. I liked the creativity that they had on offense in the passing game. Prescott was excellent. Um, he had a couple of tip passes. Other than that, I thought he was excellent last week. And going forward, I would like to see them be more aggressive in running the football. But whatever. For Washington, they looked pretty good in the first half last week against Philadelphia, but games aren't decided in 30 minutes. They are decided in 60 minutes. Not uh, you got to finish the game for Washington. Um, but yeah, I'll go with Dallas to win here. I think they'll go to 2-0 on the year. I think offensively they will. I think Washington's defense will do enough to kind of cause some problems early on for Dallas, but I think as the game goes on, and I think Dallas's defense will do enough to harass Case Keenum. I think you'll see that running game become more prevalent. Dak becoming more of a factor in the game. I think Dallas will start the year 2-0 against two divisional opponents. San Francisco at Cincinnati. I'll go with the Bengals. I was actually kind of impressed by the Bengals and Zach Taylor's coaching debut last week up in Seattle. I think they gave Seattle more than they could handle at times and just couldn't get the job done late. And I think I will pick Cincinnati to win here. I think they will harass Jimmy Garoppolo enough on defense, and I think this will kind of be a low scoring game, in my humble opinion. I think it'll be shocking to me if this game goes into like the low 20s or excuse me high 20s for that matter. But I'll go with the Bengals. Chargers at the Lions. I'll go with the Chargers. The Lions are just. I mean, when you have to tie with, I mean, I hate ties in regular season games. I think they're stupid. But you really couldn't figure out a way to beat the Chargers, especially when you had a lead against a rookie quarterback and rookie head coach. That's just pathetic. I'll go with the Chargers to start the year 2-0. Vikings at the Packers. I'll go with the Packers, despite not having a good offensive showing with Matt LaFleur, uh, with Aaron Rodgers, also with that new tandem. Uh, but I was kind of impressed by Minnesota, not because of Kirk Cousins, but because of their defense. I thought defensively that they had a great job of containing Devontae Freeman last week, and I'll get to the Falcons when I talk about my Sunday night predictions, but they look to be a mess so far. But I'll go with Green Bay. Uh, I think offensively they'll be a lot better than they were against Chicago, but uh, you know, hey, you're playing against two divisional foes back to back to start the year. You're the offensive chemistry between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers will take some time to develop as the year. I think by week 10, by Thanksgiving, I think this offense would be clicking on all cylinders, in my opinion. Colts at the Titans. I'll go with the Colts. I can see the Titans starting off the year 2-0 and beating the Colts, and the Colts falling to 0-2. But I don't know about the Titans. I mean, they were impressive. They were really impressive. I was partially wrong about the Titans last week against Cleveland. I thought they did an outstanding job harassing Baker Mayfield, and I thought, and we'll talk about the Browns, when we get to Monday Night Football, but I'll have some thoughts about them. But I thought the Titans were another standout from week one, and how they harassed Baker Mayfield, how their offensive play calling themselves was pretty good. I mean, like I don't want to see the Colts start off 0-2. I think that's probably the reason why I'm picking them to win here. But like I said, would it surprise me if the Titans won this game? Absolutely not. Patriots at the Dolphins. There's a lot of controversy about Antonio Brown, and rightfully so. It was pretty funny about the whole wanting out of Oakland, and then first wanting out of Pittsburgh, then wanting it out of Oakland, and then the whole fiasco about that. That was funny. Now we're getting into the whole like sexual assault stuff, and that's not funny whatsoever. So the fun and games are over, and there's been talk about him, but should he play? Should he not play? Supposedly he is going to travel with the team to Miami. Uh, I'm not going to get in the whole thing. Should he play or not? It's not going to matter in this game whatsoever. If he plays or not, they're still going to blow him out. So I'll pick the Patriots to win here. It's not going to matter as far as whether he plays or not. Bills at the Giants. These two teams are not making the playoffs, even despite the Bills starting off the year 1-0. I'll go with the Giants just because, whatever. Hey, good for Josh Allen leading a comeback last week over the Jets. So good for him. Seahawks at the Steelers. I'll go to. People are picking Pittsburgh because they're at home. I get it. I'm picking the Seahawks. The Steelers are a mess. And I don't see it getting any better for Big Ben and his cast of receivers, who just quite frankly aren't good enough to be starting wide receivers in the league. So yeah. Cardinals at the Ravens. I'll go with Baltimore. I understand it was against Miami, so it's kind of skewed in some ways, but I think Lamar Jackson looked really good as a quarterback. He looked very comfortable. You can see that there's definitely some progression in his decision making and in his mechanics. It definitely felt like no matter how polished you are as a college quarterback, there is going to be a transition. There's going to be a phase of transition and an adjustment from college to pro. And some quarterbacks, it takes longer than others, but I think now in year two, I think Lamar Jackson is ready to take that next step in his progression as a pocket passer. We know how electric he is with his legs. That's not debatable. But him as a quarterback, stepping in the pocket, reading defenses, all that stuff, he looked pretty good. He looked really good last week against Miami. But yeah, I'm going with the Ravens to start the year 2-0. Jags at the Texans. The Texans really just shot themselves in the ass on defense. Specifically, I know the Texans have issues on the offensive line. But defensively, that last series against New Orleans on Monday night was just terrible. That was just lack of game situation by a defensive coordinator who really should know better, in Romeo Crennel, who has been in this league longer than I've been alive, probably. That's just unacceptable on my part, or on his part. But yeah, the Texans, they should be 1-0 right now, but they coughed up a game that which Deshaun Watson tried his best to win the game for the Texans, but like I said, defense coughed it up. Their defensive coordinator just played it poorly, absolutely poorly. But I think the Texans will rebound at home. The Jags, they've got some injury problems with their quarterback, Nick Foles, who broke his collarbone. I saw like 3 different players break their collarbones or clavicles or in week 1. So watch your clavicles, watch your collarbones, man. They're very important. Chiefs and the Raiders. I'll go with the Chiefs. The Raiders, good for them to start the year 1-0, but I think it's going to go downhill from here. Bears at the Broncos. I'll go with the Bears to rebound on the road. The Broncos are just not very good. Joe Flacco's just not very good. I even said this on Twitter. The greatest trick the devil ever did was convincing me and the whole world that Joe Flacco was an elite quarterback after winning a Super Bowl. It's true. It's true. I was a sucker for thinking that Joe Flacco was an elite quarterback after he won Super Bowl 46 or 7. I think it was 47 over the 49ers. Saints at the Rams. I will pick the Saints on the road. Yet again, Jared Goff did not convince me that he was worthy of his big contract. The thing with Goff is that he's not going to cost you. Well, excuse me, I'll take that back. He's not going to do enough to cost the Rams a football game. He won't lose it for them, but he's not also going to elevate the team to give them a chance to win as well. He's just a game manager in my eyes. He'll do enough in Sean McVay's offense to not screw things up, and they'll just rely on everything else around him. That's the way I see Jared Goff. And if you're going to pay somebody $161 million, which I think is the right amount that he paid them, which is under his current contract, I expect more. I expect more from Jared Goff, and I just don't think I'm going to get more from Jared Goff. I'm not expecting him to take that next step where he's all of a sudden going to look like a completely different quarterback. I don't see it happening. I think he's been in the league long enough for me to see that he's just a game manager at best, and that's not good enough when you're paying somebody, like I said, that much money to be your franchise quarterback. For the Saints, Drew Brees continues to be just a savant at almost 40 years old, if he's not 40 already. He has some questionable decisions with the football last week. Like, he threw one interception where it was just completely out of character for him. But outside of that, I thought he looked really good. Shout out to Alvin Kamara for saving my fantasy football team last week. I needed like 16.1 points from him, and he got me just above that to give me my fantasy football win. So major shout outs to Alvin Kamara, my first round pick in my fantasy draft. Sunday night football game, Eagles and the Falcons. And I want to talk about the Falcons because I thought they looked very, very disastrous last week up in Minnesota. And that's very disappointing because but when I made my picks last week, I looked at the Falcons as being a team that could contend for a championship in the NFC in 2019. And I understand maybe it's a little too early to panic after 1 week, but man, that defense just looked lost on both in the passing game and the running game. Matt Ryan didn't look comfortable whatsoever. Devontae Freeman was non-existent. Not a very good start for the Atlanta Falcons in 2019. They need to figure out what. Hopefully this week in practice they were able to figure out what was wrong with them last week. The Eagles defensively were not very good. Now in the first half, anyway. In the second half, they looked like they made the necessary corrections at halftime, and offensively they looked a lot better. I really like what I saw from them offensively from Carson Wentz, who I am very impressed by. I was really impressed with his deep ball to Deshaun Jackson. Obviously, having someone like him helps. Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz. This looks to be an offense that can be, I think, the very best or among the best that the NFL has to offer. So I'm going to pick the Eagles to start 2-0 and the Falcons to start 0-2. I think this is a bad matchup for Atlanta, even at home. And I think they will probably be favored. If not, they'll be slightly underdogs because they're at home. but I'll go with the Eagles to start the year 2-0. Then we get to the Monday Night Football game, Browns and the Jets. And I just want to say that I think the Browns are still going to be very, very good in 2019. But I think the offseason hype, I think getting destroyed last week will help them in the long run, because I think it reminded everybody that this is still a team that needs to work on a lot of stuff, namely their offensive line. They're not very good at that area, and it showed, because I think Freddie Kitchens got very pass happy last week, and it didn't help the offensive line, and it didn't help Baker Mayfield. I think if you really want to help out both areas, the quarterback and the offensive line, I think you got to run the football. And I think they have the perfect running back to do it with in Nick Chubb. Uh, and I think if they start being more balanced on that side of the ball, I think it will start to open things up. It will open up the play action passing, the bootleg stuff, the RPOs, all that wonderful, fancy terminology stuff. But I will go with the Browns to rebound here on the road against the Jets team that looks to be snake bitten with injuries, and of course Sam Darnold, who may miss multiple weeks with mono. I'm not going to say the full name of the disease that he has or illness, because I can't pronounce it very well. But he has mono, so he'll probably miss multiple weeks, which sucks. I think Darnold can be a franchise quarterback, but he's got to stay healthy. And they should have won last week, but they didn't, because Adam Gase probably got too conservative with his play calling, and it bit them in the ass in the end. So I'll go with the Browns to rebound on Monday Night Football. Those are my picks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Until next time, Super Yankee for Life signing off. Peace.